Valley Miners and the Nevada City Yellow Jackets got together, and the school districts formed Nevada Union High School. And tonight we're going to have the distinct honor of honoring some of our better athletes from the years of 1953 to 1970. And kind of the theme of this is minor pride, because I think every one of them will display what they think of Nevada Union High School and the pride that they had in it to play, to attend the school, and in many cases to go on to other schools and other endeavors. All of them were very, very successful in athletics and in life. With that, I would like to start the program. The first person that we're going to honor tonight is from the class of 1970. He has a big representative group here, and for good reason. And the person is Gary Mitchell. First, I want to just acknowledge some of the things that Gary did as a great athlete at Nevada Union. He was an all-league football player, basketball player, and baseball player. He excelled in all of the sports. He was a two-year letterman as a quarterback, and he went from Nevada Union to Sierra College, where he was the second leading passer in the nation, not in California, in the nation. He threw for over 2,600 yards, and that's quite an accomplishment. He had quite a few people interested in his endeavors and his achievements on the football field and academically. He went on to play at University of California, Riverside, where not only did he achieve great athletic achievements at Riverside, he also graduated in business and I believe economics, Gary? Yeah, yes. That's quite an accomplishment, and that's Nevada Union pride. With that, I just wanted to add a couple other things. He was the MVP of the league when he was in high school. He was all-state. And he just is a remarkable person. I had the opportunity to meet him when his son Glenn played with my stepson in 1995. Glenn was the point guard and Josh Rosas was the forward on the team. And I will say they won the league championship. Is that correct, Glenn? You could dribble behind your back with the best of them, pal, and shoot the threes. I had the opportunity, because I believe Gary at that time was living in Yuba City, and he would come up and, of course, see Glenn play. So it was kind of an exciting time, and it was an introduction for me to meet Gary Mitchell. With that, I would like Robert Ingram, if you would just say a few words, and then we're going to have Gary have his acceptance.
I played with Gary, and the one thing about Gary was no matter how hard he was hit, he hopped right back up. Every time, which means you had to, because he was our leader. He showed us you don't show the other team you're hurt or that you've been knocked down. He just popped right back up every time. So he was an inspiration to all of us. He took us through our senior year. We had a great season, and we had a ton of fun. Just a wonderful group of guys. And this guy right here was our leader.
I can stand, I can walk a little bit. It's a lot easier to sit in that. I just want to thank everybody here Can you guys hear me back there? I'll speak a little louder. How's that? I just want to thank everybody here. A lot of you I don't know. I know from about here over. I know you guys very well, and I really appreciate all you coming here to support me. I want to introduce my date, Roxanne. She's been helping me tonight. Thank you, Rocky. And just everybody, this is such a humbling thing to be asked or to be invited to this. It's something that I never expected at all. It's the biggest thing that's ever happened to me in my life, and I really appreciate you guys who fought for me to get me here, and thank you. Thank you very much.
Here's a lucite, Nevada Union minors that they'll all have, I hope they will take with pride. It has their name and whether they were an individual participant, or if they were a coach, or if they were a sponsor of the school. That is the one thing that they'll get. They're also going to get a sweatshirt, which was an interesting little subject that I'm not going to go into. And Jeff Dellis is very appreciative of that, being the athletic director. But like I said, we'll keep that to ourselves. There is one other thing that I'm very pleased with. This is just a sample. This is metal. These are going to be displayed in a case in the hallway of the school. I believe, Principal Dan, that you've kind of approved what we're doing. And they will get this for permanent. And you can, if you'll pass this around, like I say, that is just a sample, and we're going to have the inductees select the picture that they want for this award that will be permanent in the Nevada Union. I believe it's going to be in the alley gym. They're going to change all of the cases in there to adapt to, I don't know, 100 of these or so. The last thing we're going to do, it isn't the last, but, well, here, I don't have to pick it up. I got a sample right here. It's the sweatshirts. And all of the inductees will get a Nevada Union Hall of Fame 2016 sweatshirt. And with that, we're going to move on our way. What are you flipping back in here? I'm telling you, he's uncoachable. The guy is uncoachable. Hey, Strom, what you said about Dellis is true. He's uncoachable. All right. Oh, that's, no big deal. That's all inside stuff. Now we would like to, I'd like to introduce the next inductee, and that is Bob Rush from the class of 1953. Bob, if you'll please come up here. Well, here comes Bob. Now, last night we had a little pizza gathering, and we wanted the inductees. You got to stand. You're too anxious to jump up here. I think you're going to run the 100. Hold on one second. Anyway, Bob, he said it would be awfully slow. But in his day, Bob Rush was the fastest mile in the Sierra Foothill League. He led the cross-country team to section titles year after year after year. The reason that he couldn't make the the little pizza feast that we've had for the inductees last night is because he was working a track meet at Stanford. Very unusual for Bob. Bob has been in track and field for years. Some of his accomplishments, he coached at the College of San Mateo for 1969. He graduated from San Jose State. He was a distance runner, a mile and 2 mile, recognized actually all over the country. He's in the Northern California Hall of Fame. He's in the College of San Mateo Hall of Fame. He's in the Peninsula Sports Hall of Fame. He also is the head coach for the 1994 Western U.S. Olympic team. He was also at the Atlanta Olympics in 1996. Yeah, he's been recognized all over the world and has traveled all over the world. He is a member of the USA track and field. TF, yes. He is recognized and he's in the Hall of Fame there. So with no further ado, this gentleman comes with very great credentials in track and field, and he is recognized nationally. Bob, take over the floor.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizing committee and all the work that they did to put this on, and I just appreciate it so much. It's a very sentimental thing because this is where it all started for me, is right here. And I would like to, first of all, I'd like to introduce, I guess we're not getting heard in the back, or we are getting heard in the back? Oh, okay, because I'm used to talking in one of these things. I would like to, first of all, introduce my wife of 53 golden years, Mary Ann, back at the back table. And my guests who are friends of mine here in this town since the first grade, and I'm sure many in the room know, Amos and Bev Sagesi, my very close friends. And my other guest, Dr. Jerry Angove and his wife Connie, the retired president of Sierra College. We've known each other since the first grade. Part of the things that are going on tonight involve the induction of my track coach, the unbelievable gentleman. Okay, I'm going to talk about him with this, but anyway, he found me, and that changed my life, and we'll wait for Ditch Hotchkiss and work on that together. I'd like to bring the fact that he got me a job with the Division of Forestry. I worked my way through college fighting forest fires, and because of Roger Snipe. And he did some things that were very invaluable. He found and changed my life with a couple of words. He put us through a thing in the PE class, ran everybody together, cross-country team, and I'm running against the cross-country team, and I go, hey, I think I can beat some of these guys. So I did. I beat the whole cross-country team, and Roger Snipe came up to me and he said, I think I found your sport. And by the way, there's a little error in the program. It has me down as football, basketball, tennis, and golf. Those were the sports I didn't do anything in. Anyway, I'm going to, in a tribute to Roger Snipe, and we'll talk about this a little later. We don't know as coaches how much we influence our athletes, and sometimes you don't find it out until later. And I'm going to read something to you that was sent to me by one of my athletes. His name was Kim Black. He was a 1978 California State Community College pole vault champion at 17 feet 1 inch. And that was in 1978. In 1999, 20 years later, he sent me this. And he actually won, maybe you remember Star Search, that TV program? He won that. He went to Hollywood, but it didn't work out. He was also a very good artist and writer, so he ended up in San Francisco. And in 1999, 20 years after his state championships, he sent me this. And I'm going to read it to you, but I want to dedicate it to my coach, Roger Snipe. and we can talk about it a little bit more, but I wanted to do it here, and it's called The Coach. The coach speaks in unspoken terms, for this his many wise words lie dormant, asleep in the hearts of those he loved. He had finally lost himself in a time of reflection, where the words of his own long-gone coach were brought near. Accomplishment was left behind, success altered, opening the way for that which sends the needed care. The coach releases his students out into the world one by one, contently knowing that he too will be long gone when young hearts will awaken to hear his voice. Yet in this, though quietly hidden, he has become immortal. And I want to dedicate that to my coach, Roger Snipe.
I'm going to ask Bob just to stay here because our next honoree is going to be Dick Hotchkiss. Dick, where are you, pal? Hey, probably. This gentleman is one of the real characters from Nevada Union. Very, very bright and just a great, great athlete. But if he would have a theme song, the theme song would be, you know, Frank Sinatra's. He did it his way. And I got to tell you something, he's still doing it his way. It doesn't change. He is a unique and a really a respected individual. As Dick has mentioned, and I've known him for many years, he boxed for 4 years, didn't play any football until his senior year, and he got hurt. He did because of the influence of Roger Snipe, who is going to be the next inductee honored here tonight, got involved and interested in track and field. And track and field, Dick really excelled. But as he excelled in track and field in high school, and after he got injured his senior year, and it kind of put him on the shelf. But that didn't stop him. He got a little taste of football, but he went on to junior college. And he was an All-American track and field athlete for 2 years. But he had started playing a little football. And a little football isn't too little. I think, Dick, you've shrunk a couple inches, as we all have. But he was a big, big, tough gentleman. If you played football against Dick Hotchkiss, he was your worst nightmare, especially if he was in a cranky mood. And he was only in a cranky mood maybe 95% of the time, so you didn't have to worry. He was an imposing figure. And he made all-league both years in football. He was offered a scholarship to University of Oregon and Washington State University in football, but the coach at Sac State, the track and field coach, had convinced him to go down and play football. Or excuse me, had run track and field, but the football coaches were very anxious. So he got down to Sac State, and he was absolutely a monster. And he got a tryout with the Los Angeles Rams when he graduated from Sac State. And unfortunately, he didn't make it, but then he continued to excel in track and field. As he excelled in track and field, he's coached at Sac State, Chico State, I think, for 14 years, Washington State University, Yuba College, College of the Siskiyous, and now he's back at Nevada Union. But since his 40th birthday, he has competed in the Masters. He held the world's record, I think you earned that down in Melbourne, Australia or something, in the field events in the Masters in the Pentathlon, which is the hammer, the shot put, and the weight division. With that, I'm going to just let Dick, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Weeks. This is really great. Thank you, Jeff. Can you hear? We're doing it? Talk into it? How's that? All right. A lot of interesting people here tonight. I feel honored to be here too, and I don't really have a whole lot to say except I was very lucky as a small boy to grow up in the meanest neighborhood in Nevada County. My next door neighbors were Bud and Gene West, and Kurt and Kenny Smith, Fred and Barry Orzali, and everything we did was a competition. And of course, had an older brother. He was better than everybody. And that spell of competing became inherent in my personality, even though I wasn't very good back then. I had a really good time trying to catch those guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dick. I have these two gentlemen to stay up here as they've both mentioned Roger Snipe. Roger Snipe is our next inductee. He was from the late 40s to 1955 the track coach. And, you know, and I'm certainly not taking anything away from track, but how many people remember track coaches 60 years later? He was legendary. He won back-to-back-to-back sections in the cross country and in track and field. But I think, and of course he's not here to express it, but from the people who participated in track and field, which includes Lou LeDuc that's here, I believe Wayne Brooks competed, I know that Guy Warren competed, but he inspired them. And the athletes that were too small, maybe didn't want contact sports, he encouraged them to run. They had relay teams that ran at the Fresno Relays, the Modesto Relays, and they came home with absolute loads of trophies and medals. And Nevada Union High School of 700 was known for its track and field under the direction of Roger Snipe. And I thought there would be no two better people to just express that than Bob and Dick. Have you just...
Yeah, I think that's a very good statement. Roger Snipe was way ahead of his time in coaching. He knew how to handle athletes. He knew how to inspire them. He knew how to motivate them. And he was one great teacher also. And all I can say is, for my whole life, I just want to say thank you, Roger Snipe, and thank you, Nevada Union High School.
I started high school when I was 13. I was about 5'2" and about 165 pounds. And I had a brother who was really outstanding, great athlete, track and field. And Roger found me, and he said, "You're coming out for track." I says, "I'm too fat." He said, "You'll lose that." To come out for the track team, you had to be able to run 800 meters in less than 3 minutes. I ran 2:59, made the start team, but was not a member of the track team because there were 3 guys better than me in my chosen sport. And you were limited, so I kept that in the back of my mind. I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it. Finally, I grew. Thank you, Roger Snipe, for being who you were and such an inspiration to many, many of us, including Dr. Angove in the back of the room.
Thank you, Bob and Dick. Thank you very much. The next inductee will be a gentleman that quite a few people here know and respect, Guy Warren. Guy, if you'll please come up here. This guy is walking up here. He lettered at Nevada Union in football, basketball, baseball, and track and field. Although he doesn't credit a whole lot of his track and field, as he told me, they needed a pole vaulter. And with a bamboo pole, he went 10-6 or something like that. But he said he placed and he contributed to the track and field team. He'd made basketball. He was all tournament. In baseball, he was all league, shortstop and a pitcher. Then he went on to Sierra College. He played halfback, or football, excuse me, basketball, baseball, and I want you to see a picture here. Here he is on a breakaway run at Sierra College. And I guess that looks like any guy running the football on a football Saturday. But there's one thing that maybe some of you don't notice. There's no face guard, folks. The people then went out there and played because they wanted to play. I guess it protected his ears. Because you know, when a knee came up or something, it might take your teeth out, might break your nose, but it doesn't look to me like it's deterring a guy at all there. He's running pretty good. That's minor pride there. That's minor pride. In baseball, he led the Sierra College team. He batted .460, led them in extra bases, doubles and triples. You don't lead a team in triples unless you've got pretty good wheels. And then he went on as great a baseball player as he was. He played softball in Grass Valley. He played for the Grass Valley Braves. Did you play for the Nevada City Lumberjacks? It was semi-pro. He did a great job there, and he also had a stellar career in the U.S. Army in Germany. With that, I'd like to introduce Guy Warren. There's one last thing I want to say. We have a little golf tournament, and somebody said, because he hit the longest drive, and they said, you know, he's pretty good for 72 or 73. I said, I think he's 81.
Thank you, Gary. Before I start thanking all my family and friends that are here to support me in this event, I would like to say thank you to the kitchen crew and the cooks. That was an outstanding meal. Outstanding. So I'd like to start with the thank yous at my home table there. My pretty wife, Sandy. My son, Mark. A good friend, Patty. And my two lovely daughters, Julie and Cindy. And two of the best son-in-laws a man could ask for, Brad and Mark. And just behind that table is a table full of dear friends that from the River City Chorale. Now, I don't know how many of you know about the River City Chorale. It's a singing group. They're standing up. Good for you. Probably 60 or 70 people, and they do 3 concerts a year. My wife and I have been singing for 15 years with this group, and we've come very, very close, and it's a close-knit family, that group. And thank you so much for being here. It means so much to me. Thank you. I'm also very humbled but deeply honored to be going in this inaugural class of Nevada Union High School, especially with this group of athletes that are going in there. Outstanding men and outstanding athletes. And we're going into a school with a history rich in excellence in the field of sports. So I say thank you very much. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you.
Welcome to Plaza Tire and Automotive Service in Grass Valley. At Plaza Tire and Automotive Service, the customer comes first. We only do what's right for the customer, not necessarily what's right for business. Third generation family member, learned all that I know from my Grandpa Fred, my dad, my Uncle Mike, my grandma. My entire family's been a huge part of learning about the automotive industry. Grass Valley is our 4th location, and you can also find us in Colfax, Penn Valley, and Nevada City. I am Blake Hauser, and I welcome you to join us for the grand opening at our Grass Valley location.
Thank you. Then the next inductee is a person that many, many people know, Lou LeDuc, class of 19... Lou LeDuc, the class of 1955. One of the greatest athletes that ever played. Well, the one thing I can start with Lou is Lou LeDuc was a legend. And Webster describes a legend as a person who is known for doing something extremely well. Lou LeDuc, Louis, you set the standard, pal. That was the standard. You graduate in 1955. In 1961, 62, 63, you mentioned Louis LeDuc's name, and you didn't have to ask what sport he was in. He played in all the sports. He was an unbelievable athlete. We looked back with Gary Plunkett. We looked at articles in the Grass Valley Union, and you would read, LeDuc broke off from the 21-yard line, went in the center of the field, and nobody could catch him. Made 2 moves, he was gone for 79 yards, 63 yards, 48 yards. That was Lou LeDuc, but it wasn't just in football. Lou set the standard. He was a tremendous basketball player. He was a terrific, terrific baseball player and a track man. Lou is a man with all kinds of integrity. When he graduated from Nevada Union High School, he had offers from Cal, Stanford, and SC. He went to San Bernardino, where he blew a knee. But Lou, when he was in high school, he was all-league. He was also named as one of the top 10 players in the state of California. This is from Nevada Union with 700 kids. He was named in the San Francisco Chronicle as the second-team best back from Fresno to the Oregon border. That's a lot of people. And anybody that had the pleasure of seeing Lou LeDuc knows exactly what I'm talking about. All you had to do, go in the OK pool hall on a Saturday morning, and you would walk in, and you would have 5 or 6 guys looking at you and say, how'd Lou do last night? That was just the standard. Somebody would holler from the card room where they're playing pan, and they're playing low ball poker, and they'd stick their heads out because they wanted to know how Lou do. And I'll tell you one thing, Lou did well every day. With that, he played semi-pro. Well, he didn't play semi. He played professional baseball in Eugene. Played Double-A for Fresno. Lou was the real deal. And with that, I could say so many more things. What a terrific softball player. But with that, I'm just going to turn over to Lou LeDuc, the legend.
Thank you. Fellow inductees, I want to congratulate you. Nevada Union Miners, thank you for this offer. And I have some coaches I'd like to thank. And I'm going to start with football. And one guy is Buzz Ostrom. 2 championships back to back. And I recommend him as a fine man. The other one is Art Hooper. Another fine gentleman for his time, and his knowledge of the game was wonderful. And I'll skip the basketball. Was 3 gentlemen I had the pleasure of playing with. Would be Len Steinberg, Don Payne, and Don McKenzie. We didn't have a very good team. One year we did well, but we did enough to win a few games. The next was baseball, and that was Don McKenzie. I thank him for his time and effort and knowledge of the game. And track was Roger Snipe for his work and success that he had. And I would like all right. We'd like to thank Bud Painter for his work, and George Rua for their American Legion teams. Also, Marv Hattie and Steve Paleo and Jack Goldsberry and Paul Barners. Thank those gentlemen for their effort. Also, my wife, my class, thank you very much. My wife, 60 years. Family and friends, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lou. Thank you. Oh, Lou, here. Take these, and then we'll get a picture that you want to have on the plaque for the. You bet, in the gym. The next next inductee is one that is another terrific athlete and minor pride, Max Miller. Max, if you'll come up here. Max lettered in football, basketball, baseball, and track at Nevada Union. He actually got a football scholarship to University of California at Santa Barbara, but they dropped football. So he didn't do that. He came back, went to Sierra College. From Sierra College, he went to University of Davis, played defensive back, and he also played baseball. It's really interesting that he played baseball because I always remember Max that he couldn't hit a curveball. His brother Rick could really hit a curveball, but I got to tell you something, Max couldn't hit a curveball. But apparently he learned how. He was a good baseball player there. After his playing days, Max had just a storied career as a coach. In the section, his record was just broke last year. In this section, he had won 266 games. And to put that in perspective, if he only coached 26 years and won 10 games a year, which he didn't, he had coached a little longer, but he won 266 games. That does not count the games that he won in Southern California when he coached down there. Max also coached the Pig Bowl for the police, and for some of you that are old enough will remember that. It was the police and the sheriffs. I went down when Max was coaching. There was 31,000 at Hughes Stadium. It was a huge thing. It was for a benefit. But Max also did stints at Sac City College and at Sierra College. There's so many, he's listed in 7 Hall of Fames in Northern California. And with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Max.
Thank you so much. I fumbled a lot, you know. I want to thank the committee, Jeff and the selection committee for this great honor. I also want to thank their secretary, Debbie, for her patience because I'm not a texter, I'm not an emailer, I'm a phone guy, so I had to call her a lot. So I want to thank her so much. I want to thank my family in the back there, my wife, Sally. Sally, you want to stand up there for a minute? My son, my two sons, Kevin and his wife, Loretta, Greg and his friend, Erica, and my brother, Rick. Rick. I've got another son that couldn't make it because of a funeral tonight, but they're always have been supportive. I think one of the things about coaching, I was very fortunate to be able to not only coach one of my sons, but to play against them, but to also have those guys on the sideline for so many games. It's unbelievable. When you're up, there are not very many professions that you can be in where your kids can be on the sideline and be involved with you. So I was very, very fortunate that way. I would also like to thank some of the coaches I had. When I was a freshman, I had a coach by the name of Bob Bonner, and we had an undefeated freshman team, and he went over to Del Oro and opened up the high school there and was a very successful guy. Of course, Buzzy Ostrom was my sophomore and junior, my varsity coach my junior year, and being able to be coached by a guy like Buzz had a major, major impression on my life. And it was a big honor to see his grandson came by to say hi to me, too. So with that, Tim Kays, I was very lucky to have Tim Kays as a basketball coach and a track coach. It was really great to grow up in Grass Valley. And several of my teammates are here today, that we had a lot of fun. And I want to thank them for being here. Growing up in Grass Valley in the 1940s and 50s is a little different than now. And my wife and I took a tour yesterday and went down and looked at the Hennessy Field that's no longer there. And saw the Albert Ally field last night, the field turf, and we used to have a great time during the ball game throwing rocks off Hennessy Field during a ball game. I was talking to Rich Brooks last night and Chapel, and we were talking about how we practiced behind the high school. We go out on the back of the field there for football practice. There was no lines. We just went out there. We didn't think stuff about like that. And I saw where a lot of the coaches, honorees in here mentioned, hey, we never thought about losing. When guys from Grass Valley got on the field, your only thought in your mind was winning the game. And so it was a great experience growing up during that time and growing up with the guys that I grew up with. You can't be successful without a great staff of coaches. And I was very fortunate through my career to have outstanding coaches on my staff and, of course, great players. So the old saying, you know, you can't win a Kentucky Derby with a mule is really true. So I was very, very honored. This is a tremendous honor to be in this first group with Nevada Union and the guys that are being honored, because these are really outstanding guys. And I want to just thank everyone that are here. What a tremendous turnout, which speaks very highly for Nevada Union High School, and makes it a great honor to be part of this program. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Max.
Hi, everybody. Gil Dominguez.
And Teresa Dietrich.
And we welcome Pioneer Motors to the NorCal Game of the Week.
Pioneer Motors is where you go for trucks. We have a huge selection of lowered, lifted, and four-wheel drive trucks.
At Pioneer Motors, we have a huge selection of all-wheel drive vehicles like Audi, Volvo, and Toyotas, to name a few. Looking for a fun car to drive? Come on down to Pioneer Motors and see our huge selection of Mini Coopers, hatchbacks, and luxury cars too.
Remember, it's Pioneer Motors right here in Grass Valley.
The best cars at the best prices with great friendly customer care.
With this huge selection, why go anywhere else? Shop local.
The next inductee that I'd like to induct is Coach Rex Chappell. Rex Chappell, when he started high school as a freshman, he told me he weighed 98 pounds. I think he was fibbing. I think he weighed 105. But we won't quibble about 7 pounds. But when he was a sophomore, he weighed like 130. When he was a junior, he had a severe back injury and did not play any sports at all. But his senior year, he'd grown to 190, and he had become quite an athlete. He became a defensive lineman. And Steve, if you can flip it one. Steve, can you flip one more? I think we got one more. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, there's just one. Now flip it back. Anyway, there was a picture of Coach. There was a picture of Coach Chappell that I was hoping we would have gotten up there, but we didn't, which is fine. Anyway, Coach Chappell played, he wrestled, he played baseball, and he played football in high school. But he went on with Buzz Ostrom at Sierra College, and he grew a little more, and he got a little nastier, and he got a little more aggressive, and he was pretty good size, and he played offensive line and defensive line. But his sophomore year, Ostrom looked at him and said, you know, this guy could be a linebacker, and, you know, he could also be a fullback. So he was an offensive fullback and a defensive linebacker, and he was tremendous, and he earned a scholarship to Utah State University. When he went there, he was in love with his wife, who is now over 50 years, they're married, with Yvonne. He came back, but he still loved football. And a coach by the name of Sarbo at Humboldt State, who was a coach that everyone recognized as being great. And what a great deal. Sarbo got a hold of him, told him, you can go to Eureka, you're going to get at least 60 days a year of sunshine. We're going to get you a job, and everything is going to be great. He did. He got him a job working in the sawmill. He got to go to Eureka, and if you ever driven on 299 to get there, and he played for Humboldt State, and play he did. He was all conference his first year. He was all conference and all coast his second year. He was a monster. They won the championship both years. They were just a powerhouse. And in that league was the Far Western Conference, which was Humboldt State, Chico State, Sacramento State, University of California Aggies, San Francisco State, and University of Nevada at Reno. It was, every one of those teams had players playing in the NFL at the time, and it was not a cakewalk. He played tremendous. You didn't want to see him on the other side. I saw him play against Chico State where he covered 2 fumbles. He intercepted a pass, and God knows how many tackles he made that night. There is a picture floating around that I think you all would like to see. He's taking oxygen. There isn't a part of his uniform that is dry, and he's ready to go back in there. And once he got out of that, do you think he loved to play football? He played for the Eureka Foresters. They played in a league, and as he calls it, a beer league. In the beer league in Santa Clara, the coach was Bill Walsh. In Oregon, the kicker, the field goal kicker, was a guy by the name of Tom Dempsey that went on in the NFL to kick a 64-yard field goal. He came up and visited me with some of his cronies at about 7 o'clock in the morning because they were going to play that night in Seattle, sleeping all over the floor. They were going to play the Edmonds Warriors. Well, the Edmonds Warriors only consisted of the University of Washington's Rose Bowl team that had just won the Rose Bowl. These guys barely had uniforms. These guys come out, and they were just developing the 747, so there was players from Purdue, I'm sure engineers, players from Alabama, but most of them, they held them to a 21-14 deficit, but Washington got the best of them. But you know that he had the love. He went on as a coach. He's been inducted in the Humboldt Hall of Fame as a player and as a coach. He's been inducted twice. He's been inducted in the Northern California Hall of Fame. He's been inducted in the Sierra College Hall of Fame, and he's soon to be inducted in the California Junior College Hall of Fame, as he had coached at Sierra College for 21 years. With that, my good friend, Coach Rex Chappell.
Your applause, and I thank you for your attendance here tonight. It's a wonderful event. Why can you hear me now? But anyway, I didn't realize I was that good until I talked to Gary. Gary's been a good friend of mine for a number of years, and to start this off, I would like to congratulate all the inductees that were inducted here tonight. A couple of them, this Louis Duduc guy and Gene Warren, I don't know where he gets the name Guy, but Gene Warren, I was in the elementary school level down at Hennessy. Well, I was the biggest pest they had ever seen. They'd go to the swimming pool, I chased them all over the pool. They'd throw me in the pond, and if you knew the old pond at down there in Memorial Park, that's exactly what it was. But I want to congratulate those that were inducted tonight, and it's, believe me, for me, it's a humbling experience and a great honor. Along that, the people that helped me through to where I am today, it started over at junior high in Nevada City with Urshel Snap and Ben Berry. They were our football coaches. Little did I know that Urshel Snap would convince us to box. That was a varsity sport at Nevada Union at that time. So most football players and every boy in gym boxed, but it was because of those particular people. As I got up into high school, incidentally, I didn't play a whole lot my freshman year. My sophomore year, I even played less. And then my junior year was unable to play, so I played 0. So my 3-year career in football was very poor in terms of the number of plays that I played on. I came back in as a senior, a little bigger, a little heavier, a little meaner. I wanted to prove to anybody, to my parents, that I could deal with this game. And since then, John Valentino was a head football coach, Jim Solberg. and they convinced me that there was a place for me somewhere. One of the problems that I had, and some of you might be aware of this, is grades. I was a student in a curriculum called the water curriculum. That's the path of least resistance. If you told me I had to get a C of the play, I'd get a C. If you tell me I had to get a B, well, I'd have to work, but I'd get a B, because playing became important. Went to Sierra College thanks to Buzz Ostrom. He came up and talked to me one time, and I had no idea I could play at that level. Went down and watched Sierra College play Yuba one night, and my dad was with me, and I told my dad, I said, Dad, there is no way in hell I can play for these guys. I mean, Yuba was frightening, Sierra College was frightening, and I made a decision, was going to play. And Buzz took me in. He played both ways at that time. I started all games. We went to a bowl game, won the championship that year. Second year at Sierra College, Buzz had this idea that we're going to move you the fullback. Well, as a guard and a tackle, I can hit you, a yard and a half away, but you give me 5-yard run at you, I'm going to hurt you. And that was Buzz's intention. I even got to carry the ball. I mean, that was more of a surprise for me than anything. Anyway, coaches that affected me, Buzz Ostrom probably had the biggest effect. A guy named Paul Chesney, who was at Sierra College at that time, had an effect on me. Buzz got me a scholarship to Utah State, and Gary says, you come back to marry your wonderful wife. I couldn't play there. We get down to the reality, they had some studs, Merlin Olsen, Clyde Upbrock, guys like that. I was a third-team kid at Utah State. I wanted to play, so I gave that up to come back and to go to Humboldt, where I did play. I started every game for 2 years, and it was quite an experience. After that, I played for a guy named Bud Van Duren, who was the head coach at Yuba College, and he became the head coach at Humboldt State, and he hired me, and I worked for Bud for 9 years. Then I came to Sierra College, and I finished my career coaching at Sierra College. I spent a lot of time here at Nevada Union. I recruited a lot of kids. I had a lot of good kids out of Nevada Union play for us. But my whole story, as I told Gary, was I was a kid that had to wait time until somebody found what you could do. If you have the patience, and you have the endurance, and you have the credibility, things can happen to you. And consequently, I happened to be in the right place at the right time, and things good happened to me. But I'd like to take a thanks to some people who are here. Our Sierra College contingency, John Volick, our past athletic director, Jimmy Gray, president of the Wolverine Athletic Association. I would like to personally thank Jerry Angle, that Jerry had to hire me and provide me an opportunity for 21 years as the head coach at Sierra College. Jerry also was very instrumental in getting the campus here at Nevada County. He kind of ran that whole thing. So when you look back at things that happened to me over time, there's a lot of players here tonight that I have a lot of respect for. John Phelan played on our teams. Frank Luna played on a different team, but he likes to think he's from Nevada Union. Jimmy Gray, I had Lauren Brown is here. Lauren played for me at Humboldt. Chucky Smith played for me at Sierra College and then went on to Humboldt State. So as we finish this, I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it, Derry. As you get to it, there's nothing more important to you than friends and players and teammates. Looking at one right now, Bill Hooper was on our team through high school and played 2 years with me in junior college. The stadium is named for his dad. Well deserved. His dad was a wonderful person. I'd like to take one quick thing. Yeah, I thought Max Miller would be long. I want to introduce my family. My two daughters, Stacy and Kelly. Stacy's in the back. Kelly's here in front. She's the principal at Argonaut High School. Our son, Matt, he's there. Our grandson, Brad Hunkins, who's the head coach at Wood Creek High School. And all our grandkids. We've got 8 grandkids. We got what we call the snoozers and the runners. The runners were the little ones. We got Macy and Thomas that go to Rockland High School, Julia, and Matthew and Tom and Henry. Almost got through it. Anyway, I want to thank this organization for allowing me to do this. This is a wonderful event, and we'll continue to do it. Oh, what? 3 years ago, I got inducted into the Hall of Fame and forgot to introduce my son. Now I forgot to introduce my wife. I'd like to introduce my wife of 53 years, Yvonne Filer Chappell. And as I said, I wasn't a good student until I married her. Then I became a real good student. Thank you very much. Thank the organization. You all.
All right.
Are you ready to buy or sell your home or property? Placer Title is your local title and escrow company located right here in the heart of Nevada County. We combine the stability of a national insurer with all the benefits of on-site title and escrow professionals. Being voted the best title company by the union readers for the past 7 years is a true testament to our local roots and unparalleled customer service. Stop by one of our 2 convenient locations and thank you for keeping your business local.
The next inductee is another class of 59er, Rich Brooks. Rich excelled in football, basketball, baseball, and track. He also was a boxer as well. I didn't forget that, but we forgot it also. Like, I want to repeat that Louis' picture is in the program there instead of Rich's. If it was going to happen to anybody, it's perfect to happen to Rich. Rich had an absolute storied career at Nevada Union. In football, he rivaled Lou LeDuc as a legend. Basketball, he was all-league for several years. Baseball and track, he pole vaulted with a bamboo pole and went 12. You went 12-6. He went 12-6 with a pole. Anyway, Richard got a full ride scholarship to Oregon State University. He excelled there. His freshman year, he was the quarterback. In those days, a lot of times you had to play both ways. He also was a defensive back. His sophomore year, a gentleman by the name of Terry Baker came out and beat him out. Terry Baker just happened to be the only Heisman Trophy winner up until last year in the Northwest. The only Heisman Trophy winner from Oregon, Oregon State, Washington, or Washington State. Last year, Marcus Mariota of the University of Oregon is the second one that ever achieved that. But Richard didn't quit. Richard was a starting defensive back. He played in the Liberty Bowl. But Richard went on and he coached for 1 year in Sacramento in high school, and then he got a call from DeAndros, the new coach at Oregon State. Rich went up on the Oregon State and was the defensive line coach. He coached there for 6 years, and they had a tremendous team. Earthquake, Enyard, and I can go on. They were the only team to beat USC. In O.J. Simpson's 2 years, they beat them 3-0. Like I said, they had a tremendous football team. Rich was in a real comfortable spot, and so was his wife, Karen. They both had graduated from Oregon State. They were there at Oregon State coaching for 6 years under a great coach, a great staff, and they were very successful. But then, Karen, you better get the car started, because Richard then took a job with his ex-coach, Tommy Prothro, who was very well known, and down they moved to Chatsworth, and he coached at UCLA for 2 years, and then Rich went with Tommy Prothro, and he coached with the Los Angeles Rams. That just happened to be on the other side of Los Angeles, and they moved to Huntington Beach. So they were there, and then Prothro retires, so Rich goes back to Oregon State a couple years later and is the defensive coordinator, which was a great, great job, and they were back in a nice, comfortable Corvallis for 1 year. Dick Nolan phoned and said, hey, how would you like to be my defensive back coach for the San Francisco 49ers? Rich thought that was just great, and then they got laid off. So Rich, but the big problem, they got laid off in like February or March. There's no jobs. That profession, if you get fired, you better get fired in November and December so you can start phoning people. Fortunately, he knew Derry Donahue at UCLA, and he put him on at UCLA as linebacker coach. So now they've moved like 6 times, and they have 3 children. And the move isn't always the easiest. And you got to take your hat off to Karen because she was a trooper, and off they went. And there's no question about it. So then all of a sudden lightning strikes, and I mean a bolt of lightning, because in Eugene, Oregon in 1977, Rich Brooks gets the head coaching job at the University of Oregon. And you would think that's wonderful, and it was, except to about half of the people that lived in Eugene. Rich Brooks had played at Oregon State. Rich Brooks had coached at Oregon State. And if my recollection is correct, that is a rivalry. I know that for a fact, but it's only 30 miles apart, Oregon and Oregon State. Oregon hires an Oregon State guy to coach their team, and if I'm correct, you never lost as a player or as a coach, did you, to Oregon? Two times. Well, I'll tell you, there was not happiness, and everybody was thinking, all of the big spenders from Oregon, how are we going to get this beaver out of here as head coach? Well, they didn't get him out. He coached for 18 years. His last year, he took them to the Rose Bowl. They hadn't gone to bowl games for a long time. They were at the Freedom Bowl and the Independence Bowl as well. But they moved along, and Karen was the trooper that moved right along with them. From there, Rich went with the Rams. Then he went with the Atlanta Falcons. And I think it was his last year, one of the years, they went to the Super Bowl. But the last few games, Dan Reeves had had a heart attack. Rich was the assistant head coach at the Atlanta Falcons, and they lost to a very good John Elway team in the Super Bowl. From that time, Rich retired, but then he got a calling from the University of Kentucky. And what a great deal that was. You get to go to the SEC, and you're on probation. And you're at a team... And you're at a team that I think has won 2 games before you got there, or 3. Anyway, Rich goes back in his first couple of years, and I think this is one of the things Rich is most proud of. He developed a team, but for the first couple of years he lost, and they were tough on him. I can remember once he went to a press conference, and he went by the medical staff, and they were offering the doctors and that, and he had to go meet the press, and Rich took his tie like this, and he says, "You want to go with me?" Because they were about ready to hang him. But Rich Brooks knew something. He had built a very successful program at Oregon, and he was going to build a very successful program at the University of Kentucky. And the program he did, he took the 1 year when LSU won the national championship, they had a loss. The loss was to the University of Kentucky. That year, he took them to the Music City Bowl and beat an exceptional Florida State team coached by Bobby Bowden. The next year, he didn't beat Bobby Bowden enough, so he beat his son, Tommy Bowden, from Clemson in the same bowl game. It was standing room only. They packed this guy off the field on the shoulders. So the tides had turned. Rich Brooks had turned the tides, and there was a book written about him, The Rich Tradition, which is just, and I'm going to close with this because Rich and so many of us are good friends. But that isn't what Rich Brooks, I know, would not want to be known for. And what we know Rich Brooks for is the friend that he's always been. And I'm just going to tell a couple really quick stories. Butch Ellis's father-in-law, who was our coach, Ben Berry, was up in Oregon, unbeknownst to Rich Brooks. He dropped in on him. And Rich had all this acclaim at the University of Oregon. And Rich's Marcia said, there's somebody here to see you. And Rich said, who? And he said, Ben Berry. Now, how easy would it have been for Rich to have said, hey, yeah, I'll be out in a minute, or it's all okay. He was ecstatic about it. Here's a guy that's got Joe Paterno and Bobby Bowden, and he goes on vacation with him every year. But his freshman football coach, he not only went out and acknowledged him, and he didn't know that he was going to be there, but he took him through the whole facility, the stadium, and everything else. That's what I think Rich Brooks should be remembered for, is the person that he is. He was a tremendous coach, but that is the person that he was. His players that he coached at Oregon State and Oregon when he was at Kentucky, many of them that went and visited him. And he developed players and guys that maybe didn't think that they could play, and he developed into winners. And that's kind of what this book is about and what he's done. I think he likes to achieve where teams were down, and he developed players and developed people. With that, I will turn it over to Coach Rich Brooks.
Well, I think you can probably tell that Gary and I have known each other since the 4th grade. And Jeff in the email said you have 4 to 5 minutes to respond, and Gary used all of that, so thanks. First thing I'd like to do is introduce my wife, Karen. We were married in 1962. We met at Oregon State University. And every one of those moves Gary mentioned, I left her. She sold the house, packed the damn stuff, and moved to join me while I was off working. I didn't do anything. Thank God. No matter at what level you coach, you better have a good wife, because coaches' wives, good ones, make the biggest difference. My brother Wayne Brooks set an example for me coming out of Allegheny. We both grew up in Allegheny. We just drove up today to visit my father's grave. He worked in the 16-to-1 mine up there. He back and forth between Grass Valley and Nevada City and Allegheny and Forest. And Wayne Brooks is a great coach in his own right. And his wife, Ann, thank you, Wayne, for setting a great example. I see Gary Weeks played freshman football with me. Then he found his calling, boxing. Ursel Snap. But I would like to thank Ben Barry. Every week as a freshman at Nevada Union Junior High, he introduced a new offense. I'm serious. You guys remember? Hoop, huh? Okay, Bill Hooper, Jim Gray, John Phelan, Butch Chappell, all played with me, and we had a wonderful, wonderful time at Nevada Union High School. We'd run the Y. Nobody ever heard of the Y, right? You heard of the I, and we ran the whole I. We had the quarterback and 3 backs lined up. That was Ben Barry's I, right? Then we ran the Y. We had the quarterback, the fullback, and 2 halfbacks in the Y. Then we ran the single wing. And then we ran the split T. So we had a great freshman team, and I think our only loss was to Chico. And it went on and on and on. But Ben Barry, Ursel Snap in boxing, and John Valentino in football, and another gentleman is being honored tonight, Tim Kays, my track coach, a wonderful, wonderful human being. And it was my pleasure to see Tim Kays several times in the last years of his life, as well as Ursel Snap when we came back to visit here in Grass Valley. I just want to thank the committee and the other inductees. What a wonderful, wonderful group of athletes. And I got to say one thing about Grass Valley, Nevada City, Allegheny. We all come from the surrounding area, kind of. This was a great place to grow up in the 1950s. A wonderful place to grow up in the 1950s. And I was fortunate enough to be surrounded with good people who made a lot of things possible for me.
to go forward in my life. And I will be forever grateful, and I am very thankful that I am honored to be in this first class here. All of these guys, Jim Saul, 4th grade, Gary Weeks, 4th grade. I was in and out. They were here the whole time. I would be Grass Valley, Cedar Ridge, Allegheny, back again, Allegheny, back again. You know, wherever the job took my dad, underground gold miner, it was an experience. But these people were consistent in my life. And the reason Gary knows so much about it, he was on the goddamn sideline of every one of those games. Every one of those games. I want to thank Bud West and his wife for a great dinner tonight. I'll guarantee you one thing, you didn't grow up in Grass Valley if you didn't pay homage to Bud West and Gene West and the Beavers. Thank you all. Gary, it's a wonderful event.
All right, our next inductee is a name that has been mentioned here many, many times tonight, and that's Tim Kays. I'd like to have Connie and his daughters come up. It was a pleasure for me. I believe the first year that Tim came to Grass Valley, he was my basketball coach. He was just an absolute wonderful person, and as good a person and as good a coach as he was, you just couldn't find a nicer person. And it was the type of coach that you sought out when you came back. And I was able to go up on Cypress Hill and see Tim on many occasions. There's a Christmas party that's had in this area in December, and the last few years of Tim's life, he was able to join us, which there's a lot of people here that attend that Christmas party, and it was our pleasure. But with a great deal of pleasure, I'd like to turn this over to the Kays family.
My dad would have been so proud to have been here tonight. He would have loved visiting with everybody here, as some of his coaches and the kids he coached. He would have been humbled and honored, but most of all, he probably would have been the proudest of the students he coached here that have been mentioned tonight. They were household names in our home, and I just want to say thank you on behalf of my mom, Connie Kays, and his family for this honor and for honoring him and remembering him at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. He was an inspiration to anybody that he coached, anyone that he taught, or anyone that he was ever around.
It's time to visit the newly remodeled B&C True Value Home and Garden Center. The new B&C has completely changed for your shopping convenience. Their new expanded garden center has everything you need, including expert advice on trees, shrubs, and perennials. Check out their new website and the new spring hours. And thank you for voting B&C the best hardware and building supply in 2012. So start right, start here at B&C True Value Home and Garden Center.
Now I'd like to introduce, we've been talking quite a bit of football and basketball and baseball and some wrestling. Now I'd like to introduce Steve Calkins, who is known as a terrific golfer. And we will introduce him as a golfer, but there's something that I don't think people realize. Steve Calkins was an all-league football player. Not only was he an all-league football player, he was an all-league football player that played in the Optimus game. He was like the best player in the school. He was a tremendous football player. He was a terrific golfer, but he was also a great baseball player. And he takes great pride in saying that he pitched a one-hitter against Oroville High School and lost. And the reason that he lost that one-hitter pitching against Oroville, that there was a guy for Oroville named Gary Nolan was pitching for Oroville. And Gary Nolan just happened to go straight from high school. He went right to the Big Red Machine. He never played a day of minor league baseball. And when he got done probably pitching against Steve, the next guy he was pitching against was Juan Marichal, because he went right to Cincinnati and had a storied career. Gary Nolan could bring it, but obviously Steve Calkins could as well. But Steve's he made such a future in golf. He played in the Pebble Beach Clambake 8 times. That's pretty good. He was a touring pro. He's a teaching pro. Like I said, he was a tremendous football player, a great baseball player, and a real credit to Nevada Union High School. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Steve Calkins.
Thank you, Gary. First and foremost, I think I would like to thank the committee for even considering nominating me, and I would like to congratulate the rest of the inductees. It's quite an honor and very humbling to have that happen, believe me. It's really funny because I spoke with my wife and I said, I wonder what the heck I'm doing there. Am I supposed to be there because I'm a football player or because I'm a golf professional? And truly, I think my career got started more as a football player, playing in the Optimist All-Star game and playing for Nevada Union. I was surrounded by great teammates and just had a marvelous time, great friends. And I think that if there was something I'd like to share with you is that the thing that I felt best about and most honored about was starting the Nevada Union golf team. And that all took place in 1963. And Jim Gwynn was our football coach. And I don't believe that there was a single individual on the faculty at Nevada Union that played golf, except Jim Gwynn. And sadly, Jim couldn't break an egg with a sledgehammer, but he volunteered to go ahead and undertake the possibility of teaching, maybe not teaching, how about fathering us from golf course to golf course. And there were many teams. Placer had one, Roseville had one, Oroville had one. So there were 5 or 6 teams. And he went to Art Hooper, and Art generously gave him enough money for 3 dozen Titleist balls. And so we're used to playing Saracen and Sam's need autographs, so the Titleist golf ball was great. And so what we did is we started this program, and a bunch of kids with hush puppies, old clubs, and good attitudes is about what it was all about. And fortunately, our first year, we did all right. But our second year, we did quite well. We lost to Roseville, I think, in the SFL championship by 2 shots, if I remember right. And by that time, we'd received the shirts. So now we're really styled up with our hush puppies. And so we have golf balls, more golf balls, shirts, and stuff like that. So anyway, the story getting too long. We put together this program, and our third year, my senior year, we won the Sierra Foothill League Championship, which is quite an honor because here you have to understand that we're playing at Little Nevada County Country Club, absolutely marvelous between Grass Valley and Nevada City, and we're playing on these facilities in Roseville, Sierra View Country Club, Peachtree Country Club, some of the finest clubs that are around, and here we are, you know, from a bunch of hillbillies from Grass Valley, and we're taking these guys apart, and it was really quite a thrill. At any rate, I've sucked up enough of my time. I want to thank everybody in the room for attending. I want to really thank Gary and Jeff and everybody, and thank you very much for honoring me as a member to this very honored class. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. You know, Steve is a professional golfer. He's retired now. But the word on the street to the guys that have played thousands and thousands of rounds and have played with him many times He's the best putter you will ever see. Says you can have a 5-footer and he can have a 25-footer, and you better bet on Steve. They said when he was young and as he's gotten older, he is a tremendous putter and obviously a tremendous athlete. The next person we'd like to honor is a person who has a tremendous resume, William Petaluna. Bill, I didn't know him. I knew his mom and dad. I knew his uncle. You'd see them walking around at Memorial Park with their softball bats and their mitts, and they were absolutely just tremendous athletes. And Bill obviously was. In high school, he played both basketball and baseball. He was the MVP of both teams. He was all-league in both. He went to Sierra College and was all-conference. He got a scholarship to University of Nevada for both basketball and baseball. He excelled at both. From there, he went to a very, very successful coaching career in the Nevada area, and the career has earned him many Hall of Fames. He's in the Reno Hall of Fame. He's in the Nevada Interscholastic Activities Hall of Fame. He's in the over 40 national. He played in the over 40 national championships in softball, and this figure is unbelievable. He played in the World Championships. He was on the All-Star team. He was also selected as the MVP of the international softball. He was the best player in the world. Now that's a pretty good credit for Bill. He has very fond, memorable moments. He said at Nevada Union when I talked to him, he thought the coaches, they pushed him for grades, they pushed him as an individual. As I said, his mother Dot and his dad Jim were just top caliber people. And with that, I'd like to introduce Bill Petaluna.
The first thing I'd like to do is introduce my family that came out tonight. My wife, Debbie, 47 years, marriage. My mother-in-law, Dolores Holsinger. My sister-in-law, Marcia. My sister and her husband, Bob and Karen Alling. And my nephew and his wife, Tom and Katie Alling. So. First thing I'd like to do is I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this great honor of being inducted into the first Hall of Fame class at Nevada Union. I'd like to thank everyone who showed up tonight, past players, not only in high school, but softball players that showed up tonight, and all the people that showed up tonight. This is a great honor, and it's been well represented by Nevada Union, the athletic director here. So I'd like to thank some of my coaches. Jim Simmons, my freshman basketball coach. Stu Smith, my freshman football coach. Don Flass, my JV baseball coach and my JV basketball coach. And of course Tim Kays, who was always around and very supportive. I mean, every Saturday morning we were over at the Nevada Union Junior High School. It was opened up so we could all play basketball all day long. And last and not least, Coach Ursel Snap, who was a great influence on us. We love that man, and he'd do anything in the world to help you. The coaches, they push you every day to be better, to be a better person, work hard in athletics, and work hard in the classroom. And one of my fondest moments, or I guess a change in my career, was Mrs. Frost. She was my freshman English teacher and my senior English teacher. She pushed me to no end. If it wasn't for her, I'd probably never made it through college, because the work ethic that she had, and she pushed you to work hard. I broke my shoulder playing football my freshman year, and I thought I had a great excuse not doing work. She says, Bill, you're going to learn to write left-handed. So I wrote left-handed, and then I had her as a senior English teacher, and basically she made me work hard, and that work ethic carried over not only in life, but also through my college career. I'd like to thank Mr. George Godo, my basketball coach at Sierra College. Great man. I mean, that's where I really learned to work. When you stepped on the basketball court, Mr. Godo, you worked hard, and you worked hard all the time. There was no dog in it, or you weren't going to play tonight. And then, again, I wasn't probably the best student at Nevada Union, and the teachers there, they helped you in every way they could. They try to keep you out of trouble. They keep you on the right path. And one of the toughest class I had was probably geometry. I was real bad with X's and Y's. You know, if they would have put numbers on there, I'd have been great. But they didn't have those. So after the first 9 weeks of geometry, I had Mr. Wells, who was a wrestling coach, and he came up to me and said, Bill, I got a couple options for you. I go, hey, all right, coach, what's going on? He goes, well, you can drop this class and I'll give you a C, or you can stay in there and I'll fail you. And I said, I'll take option 1, coach. And I ended up in bookkeeping. But, you know, all the teachers up there were supportive, and they pushed you, and they helped you in all the ways. And again, this is a great honor, and I'd like to thank the committee and everybody else that showed up tonight, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill. Well, our next honoree, unfortunately, cannot make it. It's Randy Humphrey. His daughter is going to accept it for him. Well, our next honoree, unfortunately, cannot make it. It's Randy Humphreys. His daughter is going to accept it for him. Randy was absolutely an outstanding athlete at Nevada Union. He excelled at football, basketball, baseball. He was first team all Sierra Foothill League. He was all-league in basketball, and as many of you probably know, he had a stellar career at the University of California at Berkeley. From his sophomore year on, he was the starting quarterback. He was second only to O.J. Simpson and Jim Plunkett in total offense in the year when he competed against them. One of the years that he coached there, they soundly beat Stanford. The last game of the year, they beat UCLA, and then in one of the bowl games, they stomped Syracuse. Bill had many, many honors. One of the outstanding honors was a award that they give in Northern California for the best senior athlete from the area, and he won that in Sacramento, from the Sacramento district. The other thing that's best to be known about Bill, he was great academically. What? Randy, excuse me. Randy, it's a long evening. Randy was outstanding. I don't know, it'll make you mad. He was outstanding. He was outstanding academically, both at Nevada Union High School, and he was an outstanding student at the University of California, which, as we all know, is one of the best institutions in the United States. He went on to have a very successful career in real estate, and it's really was disappointing when he couldn't make it down, but his back is so bad he couldn't fly or he couldn't drive. Is that so? Right now, I'd like to turn this over to his daughter.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the warm welcome and my father's really sad he couldn't be here, and I'm going to guilt trip him a little bit because I've met so many wonderful new people and people who remembered my dad from high school. So I'll be sharing stories from tonight. And yes, he just wanted to share a couple quick thoughts that I have written down from him. And of course, he's sorry he couldn't be here. He says he is deeply honored to be included with this group of outstanding student athletes and coaches. He really couldn't believe to be included in such a outstanding group. He says congratulations to all the other inductees, and thanks to Director Jeff Dellis and of course his staff who probably worked hard putting this all together, the selection committee, Gary Sharp, and probably many others. Dad's not here to stop me, so I just wanted to add a few thoughts of my own here in the middle. So I had a swim coach turn to me once and he said, when parents of athletes were really good athletes themselves, they can be two types of parent. One is kind of a pain. They put a lot of pressure on their kid and, you know, you kind of roll your eyes at them as a coach. And the other kind is the kind that passes on the sort of ideals you want your athletes to have. And he said, your dad is definitely the second. Excuse me. He was very loving. All four of his children were athletes. And sorry, I'll pull it together here. Dad's gonna like watch the video later and be like, oh, come on. He was very loving and supportive, always at all of our swim meets, our regattas, etc. And he had no ego in like how well we did. He really didn't care how we finished. He said, well, did you try hard? Were you committed? Did you cheer for your teammates? Did you have fun? And in talking to him about this event, and of course seeing some of the notes that he wrote down, it turns out that those ideals that he shared with me and my siblings and a lot of our teammates and friends growing up is something that he got here at his high school experience at Nevada Union. And back to his words here, I feel very fortunate to have had the coaches like Jim Gwynn, Tim Kays, Ursel Snap, who taught us perseverance in the face of adversity, determination, teamwork, and of course intensity of effort. But they made it clear it was important to also have fun, be a good sportsman, and be a good teammate. So I think Nevada Union, my dad thinks Nevada Union, and he's very humbled and honored, so thank you again.
Thank you very much, Ellie. You know, they say sometimes, you know, apples do not fall far from the tree. Ellie is a Harvard graduate, so I guess she followed in her father's footsteps. The next honoree, this is a real character. I don't know if he's ready for this or not. Butch Ellis. Here he comes. You know, you look at Butch and you can just see right away that this is a Division I athlete, a guy that is just going to do all these great things. The first time Butch excelled in football, basketball, and baseball at Nevada Union, but the first time I didn't know Butch from anything. So I'm at I'm living in Eugene, and I'm following Rich Brooks, who was at Oregon State. They had an away game. Well, I'm looking, and I'd go to see a worm fight if I thought it was competitive. And San Jose State is playing the University of Oregon at Autzen Stadium. And there were some great players at University of Oregon then. So I go to the game, open up the program, and lo and behold, here's somebody from Nevada Union High School, Butch Ellis. So I'm looking out there, and, you know, the guys are pretty big. You know, you got offensive linemen, 260, 270. Butch is my size. And I'm thinking, God, did he know somebody at San Jose, or what's the story, you know? I got to tell you, until the game started, because I don't know, every pass they threw to Butch Ellis, he caught. And I don't know, what were you, a 2-touchdown underdog or whatever? Anyway, you walked away with a victory against the great University of Oregon team, and this guy was absolutely the stud. He was the star. So it kind of opened my eyes. You know, he had a stellar career at the San Jose State University. He led the team in 1969 in receptions at 46 reception yards of 691, caught 4 touchdown passes. He was the offensive player of the week on several occasions. He was the real deal. Then he went to Nevada Union and taught for 35 years. And I can just tell you, because my children had Butch, had Butch. They're waving at each other. I'll just tell one quick story, and I'm going to turn it over. But Butch was an inspiration to his students, and they liked him. And so my daughter's senior year, and of course Jeff will appreciate this story. My daughter comes home and she said, I got scared to death today. I said, what happened? You didn't get thrown out of school or whatever. It was right in May, and they were getting ready to graduate. And she says, I go into class, and Coach Ellis says, Amy Weeks, come up here. Now, with my daughter, that can mean you're going to be suspended for the next 2 days. You got a C on a test you thought you were going to get a D on. You didn't know what it was. But not with Coach Ellis. Her birthday was on May 10th, and he grabbed her and he said, it's Amy's birthday today. And she said, boy, she said, was I relieved. But he touched a lot of people, and from any account, from anyone, he was a fabulous teacher and a fabulous person. And he's a good athlete, and I don't know if you can beat Sharp in golf, but I know you give it a great chance, huh? Butch, take it over.
Thanks, Gary. Thank you, Jeff, and everybody on the committee. Gary, my buddy, who does beat me in golf most of the time. I want to introduce my family that's over here. My wife, Cindy, of almost 50 years, 48 years, has been putting up with me for a long time. We got married just before I went down to San Jose State, and my first meeting with the head coach, I said, Coach, I got to tell you something. He said, what is it? I said, well, I got married this summer. He goes, hey, no problem. We like married guys. They're used to being yelled at. And he was right. You know, I couldn't argue with that. My oldest son, Brian, his wife, Katie. My younger son, Ryan, his wife, Kelly. Both Brian and Ryan are teachers here in Nevada County, and they both got honored as teachers who make a difference just Thursday, right? Both of them from their schools. My brother-in-law, Dennis, Ben Barry's son, his wife, Susie, and the two older guys there, Tony Ellis and Mike, were the two guys who really got me started in sports. Mike was 3 years older than Tony and I, so he was kind of like our older brother, and we used to tag along with him and play with the older kids. And that's really where our athletic career began, playing with these older kids who were obviously a little faster and a little stronger, but we tagged along and competed, and it was really the start. Then I went to Hennessy School and met Albert Ally. And Albert Ally was the big inspiration in my life. Albert was a great guy. Some of you guys know him. Albert and Tim Kays has already been mentioned by Bill. And Bill and I played together for many years, going back to Little League. But Albert and Tim opened the gym during the winter every Saturday. Every Saturday it started at 10 o'clock, and I don't know when they closed, whenever, I guess, it was usually 3. But he would get us out in the old gym, which doesn't exist anymore, and you could see your breath in the winter. And we'd put on those old jerseys that some of these guys, Rich Brooks probably wore one of them, and we'd go in there, and he'd put us through all these drills, the same drills that we end up in high school, right, Bill? And actually, it was the same drills that Bill and I probably ran when we started coaching. But and then we'd play games, and I mean, it was great. And growing up in Grass Valley, I got to tell you, I don't know how any other communities are, but Grass Valley was wonderful. I looked up to the high school teams my whole life. I watched all these guys play, and I couldn't wait to get to Nevada Union and play. And when I did, I ran into guys. Well, my junior high coach, Stu Smith, Chuck is here, and actually I coached Chuck. But Stu was my football coach at the junior high, a great guy, really inspired me. I wanted to be a running back, which I did for a while until I got to Jim Gwynn, who said, we're going to throw the ball. We're not going to run it. And I'm going to put you a split in. And I said, okay, we'll try that. And so we threw the ball 50 times the first game, and I caught 14. I said, okay, this is good. I like this. Tim Case, another great inspiration in my life. Tim, Coach Bill and I, and Randy's daughter, I don't know where you are, but Randy was a great player and a great student. Bill and I, not quite. But playing for Tim was wonderful, and the only regret I have is we couldn't win a championship for him. We tried, didn't we, Bill? Came in second both years, but Tim was really a great inspiration. And when I got out of college and came back to Nevada Union, I hope that in some way, I could impart some of those things that those coaches did for me. And I know with my last year of coaching was kind of the cherry on top. My youngest son, Ryan, was on the team. My oldest son, Brian, had just graduated at UNR and came back to Grass Valley to work. And so I hired him as my assistant coach because he needed some money and I needed some rent. So the preseason went really well, and we played in a tournament down in Sacramento. Brian couldn't make it because he had to work that weekend, and we lost the game. We lost one game in the preseason, and he'll never let me forget that it was one game that he wasn't there to help. So we went on to league, and we were undefeated in league. So I don't think there's another basketball team, Jeff, you'll have to check the records on this, that went 23-1. So I said, it doesn't get any better than this. I'm quitting. So that was my last year of coaching, and I just want to thank Jeff and Gary and everybody on this committee. There's some great athletes here. I'm surprised I'm here, but I'm thanking you anyway. And thanks to all the people on the committee, and thanks for honoring me.
Good job, Butch. Good job, Butch. Hey, there was a comment that came out, from the committee and everything. I got to put Gary Sharp on notice here just a little bit, but he said this to Butch. He said, Randy was on the team, Bill was on the team, and Butch was on the team, and you guys are all getting together. He said, why don't you guys win more? I don't know. I'm sure that was on the call. Gary couldn't let it go.
We're at SPD Market in Nevada City asking people what they like about SPD.
I love SPD Market because I know all the people here and I've been coming here for a long time. I do all my socializing here and they're just a great community supporter.
I like SPD Market because it's like coming home and seeing all the people I've known for years.
And that's why people love SPD Markets in Nevada City and Grass Valley.
The last presentation is for the people that really support all of the inductees tonight. It's just been, I think, fabulous. The people, it's all, as I mentioned at the start of this, Nevada Union pride. They have a great pride to come back. They love the area. They love the school. They love the teachers. They love the coaches. But now I want to honor one of our biggest sponsors, which is Hanson Brothers. Hanson Brothers started. Hanson Brothers started in 1953, the same year that the school started. And I don't want to step out of school, but I believe that Sibley's mother was Benalik, wasn't she? So all of you that had Mrs. Benalik in the 6th grade, that was Sibley Hanson's mother. So how many? Everybody that had Mrs. Benalik, huh? You bet. We know? Absolutely. And that was Sibley. Sibley was a dear person. Arlie was as well. His brothers that started it in 1953. And they have contributed to Nevada Union with materials, with labor, with anything that you can imagine. It has run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars since 1953. I do not think as a company that anybody goes out to Hanson Brothers and ask. And believe me, if you've ever been in retail in a town of this size, you get asked constantly. They've never turned anyone down. And as one of the people that had a student football player here told me about Hanson Brothers, they have the lift-a-thon. And you lift so many pounds, you can go around and you earn dollars. And like this one person told me, he said the first thing my son would do, he would lift, he would run to Hanson Brothers, and they always gave him $100. And you know that he wasn't the only person that did that. And they have been a sponsor and a supporter of Nevada Union Sports. And, of course, Arlie Hanson, his son Orson, as a graduate of Oregon State, which Rich Brooks knows. And unfortunately, Orson passed away 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Helen.
Well, after listening to all of these great stories of these athletes, all I can think about is how Orson would have enjoyed listening to all of you, because he followed all of your careers so intensely. I think he was an athlete at heart. He just didn't quite have the skills and the size, but he so enjoyed following all of you. And for the lift-a-thon kids, that was one of his biggest joys, was having the students that came in and asked for a donation. If he had the time, he would take them in his office and sit them down, and he would ask them, well, how do you think your season's going to go this year? Or what are you going to do after high school? Or just tell me something about yourself, because he felt as student athletes it was important for them to put a face to where the donations came from. And he thought that the students needed to learn the value of going out and putting themselves forward and selling themselves. And the skills that these athletes learned through playing sports were skills that they were going to use the rest of their lives. So I feel kind of humbled being here with all you outstanding stars. But it's also you, the community, that has made Hanson Brothers what it is, and allowed us to contribute back to our athletic department. So I really want to thank you, and I didn't think I was going to make it through this. Thank you for I want to thank the committee and the Elks for putting on such a great event. I want to thank my son and daughter for coming and supporting me today. I'm sorry that my other two children couldn't make it. But it's a great event, and I wish you good luck, and I hope to be able to support this event in the next years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen. We're going to have the raffle, but what we would like to do is all of the inductees, we'd like to come up here because we want to have some pictures. If all the inductees are here, we'd like you to come up to the front.
Looking at the inductees here, ranging year 1953 to 1970, football, basketball, baseball, track stars, golf stars, and a lot of these guys told stories about them growing up together and the experiences they had and what life was like here in the Grass Valley, Nevada City area. And 1953 was the first graduating class when Grass Valley High and Nevada City High joined. Guy Warren, who's honored here, was representative of that class. There were a couple of classes not represented here, but still the group of men that we have here is a great example of what Nevada Union produced and has produced over the years. We're here with Rex Chappell, who's a longtime football coach at Sierra College. And Rex, a lot of the athletes that came out of Nevada Union went to Sierra College first to get their first experience outside of the area. How was that for you?
Oh, it was wonderful. I liked the nature of the kids. I loved their attitudes and their workability. No work was you couldn't work them hard enough. Had some great players in Chris Knight, Brian Stedger, Danny Long. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Kids that were not only all conference, but they were all state. It was just a wonderful experience for me.
Well, you tell me a lot of stories about some of the former players, and we just got to get laughing about it. But what was it that took you into coaching?
Well, one of the things that took me into coaching was my experience in Little League. I was coaching with a guy named Bert Darling, and he had to quit, and I took over the team, and I was 15 years old. And Jim Penaluma was a coach and supported me all the way. And excuse me, at that time I didn't think I was going to coach, but as life brings it to you, that's what happens.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay,
congratulations. Okay, I'm here with Rich Brooks, graduated in 1959. Obviously had a storied career as a high school athlete, but also had a tremendous career as a college and professional football coach. And Rich, growing up in Grass Valley, Nevada City, in Allegheny, and a lot of people don't understand that Allegheny, that was a ways away from school.
Well, 40 miles, and my dad worked in the gold mines, and we went where the jobs were. Sometimes it was in Allegheny, sometimes it was in Grass Valley, in all of the mines in those days. And then the mines kind of petered out, and he moved back up to Allegheny, but he had the foresight to send me down here as I was living with him in the 7th, 8th grade and going to Allegheny Elementary, or the school, 3-room schoolhouse. And he sent me down here because he knew that I needed exposure in athletics down at Nevada Union.
In your entire career, is there one thing that stands out as an accomplishment that you're most proud of?
I've coached 45 years, had a lot of great moments, and one of them doesn't stand out more than the other. Won the first outright Pac-10 championship at the University of Oregon in '94 and went to the Rose Bowl. Went to the Super Bowl with Dan Reeves as his defensive assistant coach. And, we had a lot of great times at Kentucky at the end of my career. Won 3 straight bowl games, which never happened in school history. But the big thing, the most important thing, was seeing the players succeed in life after they left the program and come back and know that they are successful in life.
One of the things that's really impressed me is you have lifelong friendships. Jimmy Saul, Gary Weeks, and it's that relationship that I think that you took into coaching that I think your players respected most about you.
Well, players can figure out a phony real quick. And if you tell them you believe in them, you care for them, and you want them to be successful, if you're not truthful, they'll figure that out. And all they had to do is look at the sideline and see a Gary Weeks and a Jim Saul that I've known since the 4th grade. They were right there with me. So they knew that when I talked about commitment, it wasn't a 1 or 2 year deal, it was a lifelong commitment.
Well, Rich, congratulations. Thank you. Your induction, I think everyone here not only respects you, but admires you as a friend and a coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got Bill Penaluna, class of 1966, and Bill was actually a year behind me in school, and so I've known Bill for quite a long time, but he's probably one of the most respected and best all-around athletes that I've ever encountered. And Bill, I was talking to Rex Chappell, and it seems like all our paths went through Sierra College.
Yeah, that's right. You know, almost everybody that played at Nevada Union, except for maybe Butch and Randy, all went to Sierra College, either played football, basketball, or baseball, or all three sports.
Yeah. Well, George Godo was a great athletic teacher at Sierra, and you spoke highly of Coach Godo and what he brought to you as far as a basketball player.
Oh, yeah, he was a mentor to me. You know, when I went down there to college, you know, going from high school to junior college was a pretty big step, and you're playing with, you know, better athletes and playing against better athletes. And he taught me how to compete and how to work hard and how to improve. And every day when you walked on a court, it was to do your best and to improve.
Well, one of the things that you reminded us of is the fact that there were coaches like Tim Kays who would open the gyms up and really gave you the opportunity to do more than you expected to do as far as your development as a player. And I think you and Butch brought that out very well.
Yeah, you know, every Saturday morning at 10 to 4 o'clock, he opened that gym up, and we were there at 10 o'clock and went to 4. And we played with older kids. Coach Kays worked with us on our shots, on our moves, and how to play a little defense, how to block out. So we learned at a younger age, you know, basically how to play the game and how to play the game right.
Okay, I know you as a great basketball player and a great baseball player. What was your favorite sport?
I liked basketball the best. And then, you know, basically after I got a little bit too old for basketball after college, I started playing fast pitch softball on a regular basis. And that was probably my best love. You know, I played probably 150 games a summer. I played on 3 teams, and we played every weekend in tournaments. And it was a great experience. You know, I got to play all over the United States.
Well, I remember players from the Grass Valley area that you would pull over the hill to Reno to play for Reno Toyota. And some of them are here. Jimmy Hunt, Jim Tucker are here. And so there was a lot of camaraderie and friendship there.
Oh, yeah. You know, we played softball together probably for 15 or 20 years all together. And not only that, most of us played high school ball together or American Legion. And it was great. You know, we would pull up. I lived there, so it was pretty easy for me. But those guys would jump in the car once a week and we'd play a doubleheader up there. And it was a great time for us.
Well, Bill, congratulations. A great selection.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it very much.
Okay, I've got Coach Max Miller, and Max graduated in 1932 or something like that. It was
1958, but it might have been 32 then. You know, I felt like it. But what a great event.
Yeah.
What a great event.
Well, I remember you as the head football coach at Cordova High School. And when Randy Blankenship started the wing tee here, and then we had to go down and play you at Cordova, I really hated you, Max.
What was the name of the fullback that was here tonight?
Pat Birdsong.
Birdsong. We were geared up, man. We knew we had to stop that guy. And that was one of the big plays. I think he fumbled on the 3, and we recovered it in the end zone. And then we held on for our life to win the ball game. It was a great game.
Well, one of the things that's really impressive is that all of the inductees that went to coaching careers were great athletes, and you're no exception. And what, as an athlete, what was your favorite sport?
I think it was football. I was just so lucky to play for great coaches, you know, play with Buzzy Ostrom and Bob Bonner and, you know, all those guys. I just was so fortunate. And even my college coaches, Will Lauder for 3 years in football and Buzzy at junior college, I was really lucky. I loved baseball, though. My brother and I, growing up in Grass Valley, we played baseball every day.
Well, one of the things, you've got a great fraternity of coaches down in the Sacramento area. And one of my favorite coaches, and I know a lot of Nevada Union people will really be mad at me, one of my favorite coaches is Mike Alberghini, Grant High School.
Mike's a great friend of mine. We played for the city championship probably 5 times, maybe. And, of course, we played when I retired. Then I went to Folsom when we won the state championship. And we beat Grant in that final game. At Sac State, there must have been 25,000 people there. But Mike's a great guy. There's a lot of great coaches down in Sacramento. And Nevada Union is in probably the toughest conference. If not one of the best, it's one of the top 5. I know that.
Well, you're a great selection to the Inaugural Hall of Fame, Max. Congratulations, and I'm glad you're
lucky to grow up in this community, I'll tell you that. Well, my dad was a traveling salesman. He sold steel and fence to the mine companies. And we were in San Francisco. I think I was 4 years old, and he was driving up here, and he saw this town, and we moved to Grass Valley when I was like 4. And what a lucky person, you know. I mean, growing up in the 40s and 50s in Grass Valley was great.
Well, you made your reputation as a high school football coach. Were there any opportunities for you to go up higher into the college ranks or maybe the pro ranks?
Well, there were a couple opportunities. It's just it wasn't the right time. You got to make some big decisions on moving your family. And at the time for me, it was taking a salary cut. So things worked out. They always work out for the best. You don't think they do. But I was able to be exposed to so many great young men, so many great coaches that I had working for me. And I had, 2 or 3 national players of the year. And I don't know, God bless me, I'll tell you that.
Congratulations, Max. One of the things, Butch, that aside from your great athletic career, your career as a teacher, how proud are you about that?
I love teaching at Nevada Union. Coming back to my alma mater, it was a big thrill. My father-in-law, Ben Berry, I taught with him. I coached with him. I coached with Bob Stockton, who was one of my former teachers. And, I was going to mention Bob, and I lost it, so I'll tell you right now. Bob had the best PE program, and I was a PE major in college. And he had the best PE program at the old junior high school. And, he did a great job. And then I came back to Nevada Union and I coached with him. I coached with him. I coached with Tim and Kermit Young. And, it was great coming back to Nevada Union and trying to give back some of the things that I got, when I was there and like when you were there, So, yeah.
One of the things that I didn't know, you said in an article that you were about to drop out of school before your senior year. What's that all about?
He may have overdone that a little bit. My mother was a secretary for my grandfather. She's a bookkeeper. My grandfather had a sheet metal shop, Hills Flat. It was called the Ace Sheet Metal. My grandfather was getting ready to retire. There wasn't anybody in the family to take it over. My mom thought, well, if you apprentice, as a sheet metal worker, then he could give you the business when he's done. And I said, nah, Mom, I really don't want to do that. I want to play sports. That's what I want to do. But she thought it might be a good idea. But
so what took you to San Jose State?
Well, my Uncle Mike, who I introduced there, he was down there. He was a student there. A couple of his fraternity brothers were assistant coaches. And he was feeding them these articles about his nephew. And he, one of the coaches just knew everything about every high school player. And he goes, I know about your nephew. Yeah, I know what he's doing. And so they offered me a 1-year renewable scholarship. And, so it worked out. I went down there and I stayed with Mike for football season. And, it was after Cindy and I got married. But then after that, she came down. And I did okay in my freshman year, and they renewed my scholarship each year. So, yeah, that's how it happened.
Okay, football, baseball, basketball, favorite sport?
I liked whatever was coming up next. I really did. It was a big thrill to catch a touchdown pass. To score 20 points in the basketball game was big. Hit a home run. I really couldn't say what my favorite was. I think the biggest thrill was probably football. But I coached mostly in basketball.
And football gave you your education.
That's right. It did. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Butch. Nice to see you here. Okay. I've got Guy Warren with me, class of 1953 Guy, and you can outdrive me still on the golf course.
I cannot outdrive you. That's not true. I would like to say that this is a wonderful occasion. I think it's a wonderful idea, and I'm thrilled to death to be going in, and especially with this group of athletes that went in today in the Hall of Fame in Nevada Union High School.
Well, you came out of the first graduating class of Nevada Union after Grass Valley and Nevada City combined.
Yes.
What was that like back then?
Oh, God, I was so excited about these kids that we played against, Ernie Pello and a bunch of kids that were such good athletes, and all of a sudden we were going to be on the same team. Oh, boy, I couldn't hardly stand it. I was so excited that we were going to get a chance to do that. I had visions of championships in football, basketball, baseball, the whole works,
Now, was there any competition that first year between the Grass Valley athletes and the Nevada City athletes?
Oh, I think it was pretty fair. I don't think the coaches favored either one, Like Bob Bonner was a coach in Nevada City, and I think it was pretty open and they wanted to put the best players on the field to represent the school and get a good start for a new school, Nevada Union High School. I thought it was wonderful.
So after high school, Sierra College, was there a reason that you wanted to go to Sierra?
Probably the only school I could get into because of my grades and stuff. But it was close, it was local, and I knew a bunch of athletes from Placer, Roseville, that were going to Sierra College, and I thought I would like to go and play with those people. I had played against them. One thing I loved about sports was not only did you make lasting friendships on your own team, you made friendships with the opposing players, outstanding players that you appreciated and respected. They became very good friends. So I was looking forward to that, and I really enjoyed it. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing about Sierra College that I enjoyed is that all these guys you played against in your previous years, now you're all on the same team, and you became friends, and you became lifelong friends.
Exactly. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Well, Guy, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You were a great selection, and
I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah, and I'll see you in June up at Bailey Creek, buddy.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, and we're here with Nevada Union Athletic Director Jeff Dallas. Jeff, a great event. More than you expected?
When you start something, you never know how it's going to flourish. And beyond our wildest dreams, to have this many people show up for these 15 inductees and the crowds they all brought, we just couldn't have expected more.
Well, and you had such a great mix from 53 to 1970.
Right.
And it kind of seemed like the old guys got a lot more response than the younger guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, Gary Mitchell really knocked it out of the park to start off. Gary had 72 people here to honor him, and his speech was just so heart-rendering. And I mean, I don't think there was a dry eye in the house. And and then all of a sudden, Guy Warren and those guys, they killed it. And I just, across the board, I was just, the humility that these guys showed for the honor was so touching. And then to hear the great stories about how wonderful it was for them to grow up in Nevada County and how important all of their teachers and coaches were to them. We couldn't have scripted it better.
Well, the accomplishments of these inductees and what they did after their years at Nevada Union in the college, in the pro ranks, at the high school level, there's a lot of success stories out there.
There's a tremendous amount of success, and to know that Nevada Union and Nevada County was so instrumental in their development. Max Miller belongs to 7 different Hall of Fames. Rich Brooks, 7 different Hall of Fames. Chappell, 6 different Hall of Fames. These guys they're not just Nevada County great. They're great in Northern California, in the state of California. Nationally, they've competed and succeeded on every stage they've participated on.
Well, congratulations, Jeff. You hit it out of the park.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gary Weeks, Gary Sharp, Gary Plunkett, Linda Malusian, and Linda Miller, I mean, the true story of teamwork. Those guys all took on various aspects of this, and we'll get together next week and start getting ready for the 1970 to 1980 class.
I think we're getting photobombed back here by the principal and Sven Ostrom. And
Well, yeah, you look at Ole's head. I mean, he can't help but be in the picture.
Jeff, thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dan.
We're here with Dan Frisella, who's the principal at Nevada Union High School. Dan, you've been here, 2 years? And you're putting on events like this?
2 years as principal, 5 years total. Yeah, this event's a long time coming. I think that's probably 15 original ideas that people had, and working with Jeff Dellis, we figured, why not? It needs to be done.
Now, you were Sarah High School down in the Bay Area. Bay Area schools, I came out of the Bay Area also a long time ago. Bay Area schools do stuff like this?
They do. I've been to our Hall of Fame dinner at Sarah High School. My dad's a part of their Hall of Fame, and that was one of the nice things landing at Nevada Union. First of all, same colors as Sarah High School, blue and gold. But the second thing, it felt like home with all the tradition and all the stories and the athletes, and really these old timers, this original class, are the ones that paved the way and set the tone for what we're doing and what we're striving to do now. So it feels a lot like home.
So how'd the idea come up to put this together?
Well, I think I talked about it. Jeff talked about it. Sharp's been talking about it. Steve Pilcher's been talking about it. I think everybody's been talking about it, and I think I'm someone who likes to get things done. I think Jeff Dellis is the same, and so it took us 2 years, but here we are.
It was a great event, and I think the venue is going to have to be bigger next time because we just barely got everyone in. But congratulations, a great event. And I was telling Jeff what a great success.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
So we wrap up the inaugural Nevada Union High School Hall of Fame banquet here at the Nevada City Elks. And, reflecting on the event, over 300 people showed up for this. We basically packed the Nevada City Elks Hall, and we may need a bigger venue next year. But, from athletes from 1953 all the way through 1970, and the theme was the same. They loved growing up here. They loved the coaching. They loved the athletics and the opportunity to compete. And you can't say that too many times about a community, but our community is unique. And you look at the integrity and the character of the people who are honored here tonight, and you get a picture of what Nevada Union is all about and what our community is made of. So the fabric of our community was made up of people who were successful in life. They were successful in business. They were successful in sports, all the way through the professional level. They made an impact on the people that they mentored, and they carried the same values. So, all in all, it was this was a great event. People you haven't seen for a long time. People making or being reacquainted with people they played sports with 30, 40, 50 years ago. So, on behalf of Touchdown Productions, I want to thank all of you for sharing this time with us. It was a great time and a great time to be a Nevada Union Miner. So, on behalf of Touchdown Productions, Dan Miller, good night.